Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of From the Studio. I'm your host, Corey Riggs, happy to welcome you inside our MC22 studio and so glad that you're joining us once again. We have a couple of great guests lined up for you on this episode, both talking with us about the landscape of World Team Tennis. Beginning with a gentleman who for the last year and a half has been growing the brand that is World Team Tennis as their CEO. The league is seeing unprecedented growth in every area with the addition of teams, the growth of their broadcast offerings, as well as bigger paydays for players. Carlos Silva will join us first on From the Studio. Then we will turn our attention to a local team in that league for the last 25 years. They are the two-time defending World Team Tennis champs, and they are from right here in Springfield. The Springfield Lasers general manager is Paul Nahon, and he will join us a little bit later. If you're enjoying the show and you'd like to reach out to us and provide us with new topics or guests you'd like to see on the show, that'd be great. Hit us up on Twitter @FromTheStudio22. We'd love to hear from you. Stay tuned. Carlos Silva of World Team Tennis joins us from the studio after this.
As COVID-19 impacts our community, Metro Appliances and More continues to serve you. Although our showroom is closed, our business is open. Live chat on our website or call the store and speak to an appliance expert. Metro Appliances and More is committed to serving you safely. Even in uncertain times, Blue Current remains open to serve you. At Blue Current, almost all services can be completed from your mobile device in the safety of your own home. Visit our website for details or download our app. Blue Current is committed to building better communities together.
Hi, I'm Judy Ballou, your host for Dishing It Up. I invite you to join me every week as we watch some of the Ozarks' favorite chefs come into the demonstration kitchen at Metro Appliances and More and prepare some of their favorite dishes.
This is fun for TV.
You do sweet and savory together all the time. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Watch Dishing It Up on channel 722 in high definition.
Welcome back to From the Studio on MC22, everybody. Corey Riggs here, now joined by the CEO of World Team Tennis, the league that is getting ready to enter its 45th season and one of the leaders in bringing tennis back in this pandemic that we are dealing with. He is Carlos Silva. Carlos, thanks for coming on the show. And where are you, man? I follow you on Twitter. You have been all over the map the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, last couple of weeks, things have started to, as you know, Corey, things have started to open up a bit. So I was in California maybe 2 weeks ago, and then I was down at Greenbrier that, as you know, we announced to bring the season to, and spent a couple days down there with the team doing some operations. And then this week I'm back in California doing some stuff with some of the teammates out here and just doing some operational meetings, getting ready for the season.
The life of a CEO, just hopping from coast to coast. Well, before we get into the league's move to Greenbrier, I wanted to start by talking a little bit about you. This is about the year-and-a-half mark for now in your role as the CEO of World Team Tennis, the league that was founded 45 years ago by the great Billie Jean King. What were you doing prior to this, and what is your relation to tennis? Because I know it goes back a long way.
Yeah, you know, tennis has been a big part of my life. I played as a kid and played throughout all the juniors, and then played some college tennis at Boston College. And so tennis is really the only thing I ever wanted to do. Certainly growing up, that was the career that I wanted to have. And I gave it a shot for a summer up on the satellite tour up in Canada after college, and it was great. So happy that I could say I was a professional for the summer. But then, decided that it was tough out there. And so I went back to school and got a master's degree and started my career. So it's come full circle. I've I've launched television networks. I've been in the Olympic game. When we built and launched Universal Sports, I was there at AOL in the heyday, running AOL Sports, doing some great things with the U.S. Open back then. And I got an opportunity, having come out of the fight game for a couple years and sort of reinvigorated a fight league called World Series of Fighting to turn it into Professional Fighters League. I got an opportunity to get back in the tennis game, which I love so much. Your careers sometimes go completely full circle. And so I joined World Team Tennis about a year and a half ago now. And it's great. I've got the greatest job in the world. I think we've done some phenomenal things with World Team Tennis in the 2019 season. And now, as we know, we're in a little bit of a funny time and not an easy time. And so we're now staying light on our feet. We've been addressing all the issues, particularly related to the pandemic. And I think we've got a great solution in what we do here in 2020.
Well, walk us through what the decision-making process was like for you and the league. Obviously, there were a lot of options on the table. You all looked at all of them, but in the end, you decide to take all of the teams, all of the league, take them to one location where you can keep everybody together and try to keep them healthy.
Yeah, no, you're right, Corey. And we had some great options. It's already been a week since we made our announcement to go to Greenbrier, West Virginia, a beautiful resort in a bit of a secluded area in a state that has very low incidence rate for COVID-19, which is really important because we wanted to make the right decision for safety for the players and for the staff. But we had some great opportunities in Florida and in Texas and in Nevada and in California. But in the end, Greenbrier also really wanted to bring sports back. I think because the state has had that safety and that low incidence rate. They also said that we could bring 500 fans to each of the matches on a daily basis. And, if you've been to a World Team Tennis match, or you've watched it on television, the fans play a big part of it. It's got much more of an NBA feel. It's a little louder. There's lots of music. And so we really thought it was great that we could help not only bring sports back and tennis back, but also let fans come, do it in a smart way, do it around the guidelines that exist in West Virginia, as well as the Greenbrier Resort, which is now open for business. And we're going to do that, and I think it's going to really be great.
Well, you mentioned kind of that NBA feel. You guys have brought that sort of big-time professional sports presence to your social media over the last year and a half as well. A day didn't go by where I didn't see somebody doing World Team Tennis interviews. You had Luke's Legends on. You had Harrison's Happy Hour on. You guys really used the quarantine time as an opportunity to get content out to the fans and kind of open up some of your stars to social media.
We did, and we've got some great talent with Luke Jensen and Ryan Harrison and Nick Gismondi, who's our host and has been our CBS host a number of times. All of those different shows they've had great guests on. I was happy to say that I debuted on Luke's Legends, so it was really nice that maybe I piloted the show, got it kicked off. It was a lot of fun. Luke's got such great energy. Ryan's had some great guests on, and then Nick has also taken this tack where he's also taken some of his past in other sports that he's worked on, and he worked with me in the Olympics. So he's brought on even guys like Dan Jansen from speed skating and talk about tennis and brought a little bit of a different flavor. But I think it's been great on Twitter and on Instagram. They've done a great job. They're great shows, and I agree. During this quarantine time, I think we took we made the best of it. The shows are super high quality. Our production team does a fabulous job, and I think they're fun, and I think people have really enjoyed them.
Well, speaking of production teams, you all have continued to make new partnerships for your television and your online offerings of these World Team Tennis matches here in the last year and a half. Now, all of a sudden, CBS Sports, ESPN Plus, the Tennis Channel. Heck, you guys are even looking at maybe doing some of the matches on Facebook Live. Talk to me about the importance of that sort of global exposure for the league.
Well, look, we're in the business of building an audience. I mean, as we build an audience, the awareness of World Team Tennis continues to go up. It's been around for 45 years. I think it's had varied levels of audience exposure and growth over those 45 years, as any business would. You can't always just keep a trajectory of a rocket ship going up. And so I think over the last few years, there hasn't been that kind of audience build. So in 2019, we added CBS Sports, and ESPN. It was great. We also did some great stuff on WTT.com. But now we've also added to not only our great partnerships with CBS Sports and with ESPN, but we've also added the Tennis Channel. We're the first big pro event that's back. All the top names going to be playing. They're playing for a lot of money. They're playing for the King Trophy. And so I think the Tennis Channel was great to bring them in and give them some matches. So we're splitting those matches between CBS, about 18 matches, including a few on big broadcast CBS, including the finals for the first time, which is super exciting that the finals are live on CBS broadcast on Sunday, August 2nd. ESPN Plus, great partner last year. ESPN Plus is a great product, and our stuff was right at the top of the video stack when we were live. And now the Tennis Channel. And then also we now add a couple matches on Facebook and Facebook Live, where we've done some things with Luke's Legends and Ryan Harrison's show and Nick's show. And so that Facebook audience is built. I think, with 66 matches, 63 regular season plus 3 postseasons, a lot of content for any one outlet to cover all of it. So I think having the tact of having the best across the board, from CBS to ESPN to Tennis Channel to Facebook, we have it all covered. And I think each of them will support those broadcasts. Each of them have, enough that keeps the network in the game. And I think it's great for tennis fans to be able to watch across those networks.
Carlos, one more thing before I let you go. With so many changes on the TV side, moving the entire league out to the historic Greenbrier Resort, any other changes that tennis fans should be aware of for World Team Tennis this year? Like, I think I read something online. You guys have even increased the paydays for the players this year, haven't you?
We did, so as you know, players get paid during the regular season like they do a regular team sport. They get paid a salary during the regular season by each of the teams. Now we've added $1 million of postseason money on top of their regular season salaries, which is super exciting. $500,000 to the winning team, $250,000 to the runner-up, and $125,000 to each of the semifinalists. So I think it gives players even more incentive. There's 9 teams in the league now with our expansion in Chicago this year. So with 9 teams, only 4 teams make the playoffs. And so the regular season matters. Every match matters. Every game matters. Every point matters, just like it always has in World Team Tennis. And so we're looking forward to seeing who's going to hoist the King Trophy on August 2nd live on CBS.
Well, I'm biased. Hopefully it's the Lasers so they can pull a Michael Jordan three-peat, the back-to-back defending champs. Well, Carlos, thank you so much for the time. Best of luck this season. Best of luck out in West Virginia. It'll be July before you know it.
Thanks so much. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you too. Carlos Silva, our guest, will be back with more from the studio here in just a minute.
Find your next car at ReliableSuperstore.com. Reliable Superstore is here to help with Toyota, BMW, Lexus, and Audi. Need service? Take advantage of our pickup and delivery. Reliable Superstore is here for you. Renew Crew is open and providing free in-person and virtual estimates for all your deck cleaning needs. Their team takes all precautions to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Give Renew Crew a call today.
Hi, I'm Brett Johnston. Watch Soundcheck on MC22 for a look inside the Springfield music scene. Recorded right here at the Classic Rock Coffee Company, Soundcheck features an in-depth look at local bands with original music performances and sit-down interviews. Catch it on MC22, on demand, or online at mc22.net. From our stage to your living room, Soundcheck is your local music connection.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Welcome back, everybody, to From the Studio here on MC22. Our next guest is the general manager, the defending champs of World Team Tennis. They are the Springfield Lasers, and he is Paul Nahan. Paul, how are you doing today, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing great. Great to be here with you, Corey.
Oh, what's great to see is that big, beautiful King Trophy over your shoulder there. The Lasers, of course, defending back-to-back champs after, 25 years of trying to bring that trophy home, and then all of a sudden it comes to Springfield, not 1 year, but twice in a row.
Boy, and we worked really hard to get there the past 2 years, and our goal is to do the same this year. What a beautiful trophy, though.
It is fantastic. This year is going to be somewhat different. Obviously, the coronavirus has changed the entire world's landscape. It has especially changed the landscape of the sports world. We just talked to World Team Tennis CEO Carlos Silva about the move of the 9 franchises out to the historic Greenbrier. So, Paul, first things first, what do you think this is going to mean for the Lasers in that title defense? And what do you think about the league's decision of going out to West Virginia?
Boy, it's really going to be interesting. I think, first of all, in our title defense, we've put together a really good team so far, and we're actually looking at adding 1 or 2 additional players. So, from a defense standpoint, we've got a great doubles pair signed on. We got both Lindstedt and Rozier for the season. But likewise, it's going to open up a lot of the other teams that are bringing more players on too. There's no tennis going on in the world right now. So all the best players in the world, which would typically be playing tournaments spread about, and we pick up some of those throughout the season, are actually, a lot of those players are coming to World Team Tennis this summer. So from a competitive standpoint, we're going to see a lot of players at a very high level involved in the league this year. As far as the laser standpoint, we're still working on a couple of components of that. One is potentially Misha Nurmar-Kekmanovic coming back, and then we're working also on the women's side. So far, we've signed Olga, who was part of our championship team last year, as well as Haley Carter, who's an up-and-coming American young lady that's very strong. And then on the men's side, we have Mitch Kruger signed for men's singles. We also have Lindstedt, Rozier, and then potentially looking at adding one more player if we can get Kekmanovic on board, and then possibly another female player. So we have plenty of players there with the way the season's lining up.
Is this all based on the coronavirus now, Paul? That the roster isn't normally that wide at the start of the season. Now, you and I have been in this for a long time now. We know that at the end of the season, you may have to use that many people based on schedules, injuries, and everything else. But normally you don't go into the season with that many on the roster, not to mention the fact that World Team Tennis changed the rules this year and the draft went away. Am I right?
Correct. So there's many variables coming into play there. Definitely the medical coronavirus situation we have is playing into that. They want players to make sure they're clean and healthy coming into World Team Tennis. So part of that is testing done on the front end. They also want players to stay there for the duration of the event versus coming in and out. They don't want a lot of travel in and out. So there'll be testing done on site. There'll be monitoring of the players. The teams will be following the guidelines that they set forth at the resort, and it'll be a nice place. It was actually a world, if I'm not mistaken, it was Cold War bunker for Congress and our government. So it's going to be a unique facility that we'll be playing tennis at, and somewhat isolated.
Not to mention a PGA Tour stop at one time. So I'm guessing there's some tennis players that might get a few rounds of golf in, and maybe some general managers too.
You know, I might get out on the golf course a little bit myself. It's been a while, but we'll see what I can do to get out there. Yeah, I haven't thought about bringing my clubs yet. I guess I need to think about that. Yes.
I definitely would. Well, Paul, the good news is that World Team Tennis has figured out a way to continue the season. The bad news is for local tennis fans in Southwest Missouri, it means the only way to see their Springfield Lasers is on TV. Obviously, that's going to be a tough pill for some of those folks to swallow.
It is really tough. We have a lot of fans that have been loyal to us for our 20-plus years, 25 years now, that are really going to miss out on the live experience. Fortunately, most of those matches, one way or another, will be broadcast, and they're looking at many different options right now. to determine how to get out there. But one way or another, every single match will be broadcast live and obviously replays. But the sports world is hungry for live content right now. So the World Team Tennis crew recognized that, and they made that effort to pull this off with a lot of expense on their side. The one good thing is they are picking up a lot of that from their perspective. Obviously, we don't have the revenue from the sponsors or the ticket sales that we've had in the past. So we are going to get significant help from the league this year in that arena too.
Good. That is good news. You talk about the league and the adding of the live television aspects of it. Obviously, Mediacom has been involved with the Springfield Lasers and World Team Tennis for a number of years. The TV exposure is great. You can never discount how important that is. But what about the exposure in the world of tennis for the WTT to kind of be leading the way back? Other tours not coming back yet, not beginning play. What do you think this is going to mean for the league as a whole, and maybe where they show up on the world radar of tennis?
Boy, I tell you what, the owners of the league have been very honorable in this process. They, on the front end, everyone who signed, they actually sent them a check about a month and a half ago. They sent them a check out from the league, from the ownership. And so, you know, they, number one, I think it'll build a lot of goodwill with the players that have signed on early. I think it'll also, these players are hungry to get back and compete. Mm-hmm. And it's not as much about the money on their side right now. They want to make sure that they're playing in a pressure, competitive environment so that they are ready when they do open things back up. I think the first, right now, the first tournament on the calendar, if I'm not mistaken, is in Washington, D.C. They have not suspended that one yet. So that would be right at the end of World Team Tennis season. So from the tennis world perspective, I think it'll bring a lot of recognition back to what Billie Jean created over 45 years ago. So I think there's some significant benefits to that from the tennis world. And I think long term, hopefully it leads to us bringing more players at a higher level into the league. One of the steps they took this year also, they threw $1 million in prize money out there for the playoffs, semifinals, and finals. And so there's significant dollars on the line that also are attracting those players from that perspective. And I know that's a lot of the top players obviously want a shot at that money. So I think we will see more of that as time goes on. And I know Fred Luddy, Eric Davidson, the owners, they've really gotten behind it and pushed that out there. And I think that we'll see very positive results out of that long term.
Well, Carlos and I talked about the additional money. The one thing that we didn't get to in our time was talking about the addition of a team. This is a league that has kind of seen a big number of teams, and it whittled down to a smaller number of teams in the league. And now with that new ownership and Carlos's leadership as CEO, the league is growing again, added a franchise in Chicago this year. Is that correct?
That is correct. So, you know, their intent is to go where we have 9 teams this year. They'd like to bump it up next year again and continue to bring more teams on. It's as we get into it more and more. When I look at tennis, you know, it's a very competitive environment, but World Team Tennis also has a recreation league, and there's a component to that too within those communities. And it's not quite as competitive maybe as some of the USTA stuff. It's a little bit more social, but at the end of the day, World Team Tennis is very professional. These guys are out there on the court giving every ounce of energy. They are professionals, and they do not let any point go by. 1 point can cost you the match. In fact, last year we were down a match point, and Olga was able to come back and fight through it, and we that was in the semifinals, and we won another trophy. And so, you know, a lot of skill. That could have gone either way. Ball hitting the tape and barely dribbling over, and the season would have been over. But yeah, we look forward to another opportunity to win it again.
Paul, one more thing before I let you go. The Cooper Tennis Complex not going to be hosting Springfield Lasers matches this July, but you guys are open right now and people can come out and play tennis, correct?
Correct. We are open. People can come play tennis. They are slowly but surely getting, the lessons are starting up again. We're seeing some of the smaller groups gather. Obviously no large groups yet, but we're seeing some of the smaller groups that used to play doubles together getting on the court. And I think the academies are the next step with the kids getting back out here, and I think that will happen here in the next week or two. And so it's starting to become a little more busy again. We're into an outdoor season, which is great, a lot of fresh air. And so it's a great time to get out on the court. So hopefully everyone in the community, again, look at the community of Springfield. We have courts all over town. Tennis is a great sport from an exercise perspective, from a mental perspective. Love to see more and more players get involved as time goes on.
Well, Paul, don't forget your golf clubs. We will be watching for you and the Lasers in July at the Greenbrier. Thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you so much, Corey and crew. We really appreciate all that Mediacom has done for the Springfield Lasers over the past year. So thank you so much.
Now, we appreciate the Springfield Lasers. Paul Nahon is our guest. We'll come back and wrap up this edition of From the Studio in just a minute.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
At Orange Leaf, we're still swirling, just doing it a little different. Both Springfield Orange Leaf locations are open, offering crew-serve carryouts, party box catering, curbside pickup, and delivery. At Orange Leaf, we're all about making life sweeter.
Kevin here once again for Seeger Toyota of St. Robert. Our service department still has drop-off and pickup available after hours, and pickup and delivery for you locally if you need assistance. We will make sure your vehicle is sanitized before being returned to you as well. That's from your friends at Seeger Toyota of St. Robert. We are here for you.
Well, that'll just about do it for this episode of From the Studio. Remember, you can follow the show on Twitter at From the Studio 22, or you can follow me at Corey Riggs TV. Feel free to send us your questions, guest or topic ideas, take part in our online polls, and more. Our time together is once again drawn to a close, but before I leave you, just a quick programming update for you, our MC22 viewers. We will have a special edition of From the Studio running over the next few days, as well as the one you just watched. One of the many things that was taken from the sports landscape this spring and summer was the 19th annual Gridiron Classic, the all-star football game for graduating seniors here in Southwest Missouri. Because of that, we will talk with the organizers and coaches from that event, as well as play last year's game. If you want to know when you can find that, just go to our website. It's www.mc22.net. There you can find schedules for our programming here in Missouri, Iowa, and more. Our final thank yous for this show go out to our great guests, World Team Tennis CEO Carlos Silva and Paul Nahon, the General Manager of the Springfield Lasers. And as always, thanks to all of you for watching. Until next time, for our MC22 crew, I'm Corey Riggs, saying so long from the studio.